Hey, it's Kevin DeWitch here. Welcome to another plugin knowledge session. In this session, we're going to check out a plugin called the E27 from PSP. So firstly, if you're new to my channel and you like what you see here, please click the thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, click the notification bell to be notified of all my future videos. So E27 from PSP. This plugin is an emulation of an E27 hardware module. It's a EQ style 500 series rack style hardware module. It goes into a 500 series unit. It not only includes a module for EQ, but also includes some preamp style drive and some characteristics like that to add some of that sort of analog warmth and characteristics to your tracks and to your song. So let's just get into it and I will show you around the plugin. All right, so here we are in Cubase and we have the PSP E27 and E27 SE loaded up. So these come together when you purchase the E27. And these are multistage equalizers. That's the statement from the manual. And they are based on the analog equalizer E27 produced by Avedis Audio Electronics. As you can see by the layout, it's based in a 500 series style. So I'm assuming that's what the hardware is. And we have, as I said, two versions here. Now, the main obvious difference between the two versions is this one has independent controls for left and right, and this one does not. So based on controls here, we obviously have a big switch here to turn the plugin on and off in either of these, but we've also got a little one here that we can bring it in and out on the modules themselves. Okay, you can see here there's sort of two modules. There's the E27, which is obviously the equalizer component, and then there's this PA11, which looks like a preamp. We'll probably focus mainly on this E27 here because it's got primarily, the SE's got primarily the same functions, just in a simpler form. This still works in stereo, but you do not have, so you can run this in mono or stereo, depending on your track that you load it on. But this one here, you just don't have the control of the individual channels if you so choose. So it's a bit simpler. It also doesn't have the mid-side controls this one has. But other than that, all the stuff is identical. Now you might say, hang on, this PA11, but if we click there, our PA11 becomes visible, and it is visible on the individual channels. So we'll close this down because this is going to give us the best representation, but obviously just be aware the SE is there if you want a little bit simpler and you just want to dial in some quick settings. Now, obviously, as I said, you've got turn it on and off. You've also got the in button here. Now, why you might keep it separate is because I'm assuming if you turn this link off, we can turn off the individual channels if we wanted to, while we've still got the main control as well. And obviously, if we link it again, we are controlling both at the same time. This BPS setting is a little bit weird. I'm not 100% sure what this is saying it's doing. The manual states that, hang on, I'll just read the manual because it's not 100% clear to me. These two buttons work similarly to the power button, but they refer to channels independently. Use the power button or BPS buttons to disable the E27 and PA11 modules. Click the BPS label to bypass both channels instantly. Okay. So I'm not sure why you then have this in and out. That may be just the equalizer, whereas this is the combined PA and E27. It just seems to be the same functions done lots of times. But anyway, It may become useful to you if you so choose. Okay, the monitor section here determines what we want to actually listen to while we are monitoring. So we can flick between the side, the right channel, the stereo, the left, or the middle. Stereo obviously is the default setting. So this is in theory what we are listening to as we are dialing in our settings. We have this MS control, so we can flick between left and right or mid and side. So that is very handy. Obviously, as I said, this PA11 here makes them visible or, hidden. Times 2 is supposed to duplicate E27 modules in the process chain. Oh, that's interesting. Oh, okay. So we now have 2 equalizers on each side. I guess so. Now we have a lot more options in regards to the amount of frequency adjustments we can do, because obviously, even though they've got the same values, we can set them to different ranges as we do this. So that's really handy. It's just like adding extra modules to your 500 series, just adding an extra couple of EQs in there. Obviously, as I said, we've got the link control. We can either have it on link, so all of our controls are set the same on each channel, or we can unlink, so we can do adjustments on one side or the other. Or if we were in mid side, we could adjust the side and not the mid, or the mid and or the side, or any combination in between. All right, so if we run through the EQ, we have by default, if we have one module, we have 3 bands. Okay, so by the manual, I think the reason we have this in, and then we have this BPS, and we have this power thing, obviously this is global to the entire plugin. This can be global to the channels, or it can be individual. But the in can also turn off the processing of the EQ, but it states that it still has some analog modeled circuitry involved, even with this in turned off. So with it on, we have these low shelf and high shelf buttons. So the low shelf button here basically changes this control here into a low shelf. With it turned off, it is a standard bell shape, and obviously with it on, it becomes a low shelf control. So obviously that allows us to change that setting there. So that would be really handy if you were to expand to times 2, because you could have a shelf on this side and you could have a bell on this side. So you can get control over these low frequencies in both respects, as a shelf and a bell. And same thing happens here with this high shelf. Okay, we don't obviously have a line directly up there because that would be messy, but this high control up here can also be a shelf if we enact that button, or it can be a bell shape. So again, if we had the 2 modules, we could have one as a shelf and one as a standard bell. And obviously we can have them both as shells, and we can have them both as bells. There's no limitations there. So on each of these controls here, we have an internal red control, as you can see me moving it here. And we can go between, this is our gain for this frequency range. So we can go from 0 to plus 16 dB or down to minus 16 dB if we want to do a cut. So we can obviously do that on each of that. So that's setting our gain control, and then our outside ring is the white outside ring. Okay, that is actually selecting our frequency range. As you can see, it highlights on the outside, so that's nice visual feedback there. So we can flick between, set our frequency, adjust our gain control. Now, I'm not sure the correct way to actually adjust this control. I'm finding it a little weird with the mouse, to be honest with you. It moves strange. I'm not sure what I should be doing. It's like I could go up and down with the mouse, or I could go left and right with the mouse. But my natural reaction is to click it and drag it in a circle, like I'm actually following it. But that doesn't work. It actually makes it go funny. So you need to just be aware to either go straight up and down or go left and right, whichever way you prefer with your adjustments there. But it's still a little bit weird feeling to what I've done with other plugins. And I guess with the outside ring, same thing applies. You can go left and right or up and down. But if you try to actually go around in a circle, it really works weird. So depending on how you respond to it, I'm finding it a little bit weird to control. Because my brain says click it and turn. That's what my brain says. Move your mouse in a circle. But the controls aren't doing that. And I'm not sure if there's a setting to override that. It doesn't look like there is, but anyway. And obviously, if you want to turn the frequency off, you can turn it back off there. And if you leave the gain control up or down, if this is off, then it's obviously not doing anything. Okay, so the PA11 they're stating is a special module for preamp processing and external control of the E27. So by this, it says enable the PA11. So I'm assuming if you untick it, it's not just it's hidden, it is actually turned off. So if we have it on, it is, as it states, a special preamp. We have a drive control. Again, 0 to +16 to -16. Same control sort of setting here, except we don't have an outside control now. You know, visually, they've just got a place like a ring on it, but it is one control. So you can drive it harder. Yeah, see, I keep losing control of the dial. My hand just doesn't want to do what the plugin wants it to. So we can drive it lower or higher, depending on how we want to do that. And they stated to control output distortion. Setting the drive to 0 offers a nominal level of saturation from PSP E27. The drive knob allows you to increase or decrease the amount of saturation. All right, we have this control here is actually a high-pass filter. So we can actually filter out noise. Look at that. That's unusual. That dial just goes around and around and around a few times. Okay. You would have thought that would stop right there, but I can continue. It stops there now. So it goes around like 3 times. That's a little bit weird. Okay, I don't get why that does that. Why it can go around 3 times and then stops. I would have thought once was enough. But anyway, not sure what that's doing. So the 28K button is, they're stating it enhances high frequencies. This button turns on special bell filter. Let me say that again. This button turns on special bell filter processing at 28 kilohertz, which causes a gentle and musical boost in audible bands. Interesting. Okay, we also have a polarity or phase control here, which can be obviously helpful if we have tracks that are phase reversed. Okay, this one here is indicating a transformer. So this is simulating, let me see what they say, the harmonics production typical for audio transformers. there is only one input and output transformer per PSP E27 plugin instance. So, okay, click to bypass input-output transformers in the channel chain. It disables the harmonics. Okay, so by default, it is on, I'm guessing, and if we click it, it is disabling the you know, I guess that analog sound of transformers. And then the next one is to do with the operational amplifier and active filter circuit emulation in the E27 module. So it is again on by default, and if we click it, it disables the distortion produced by those. So disable the distortion produced by the operational amplifier and active filter circuit emulation in the E27 module. So I guess with turning these two on, you're basically removing majority of the analog emulation of the hardware and turning it into a very digital-based EQ. Okay, then on top of that, we've got our standard controls down here. We've got some A/B functions, we've got some presets, we've got some comparing, and we've got managing some stuff here as well. Obviously manuals and tips, that sort of stuff. So let's just run through some settings and have a bit of a listen. Let's start with a simple thing here, and we will have the PA11 off. We'll turn the plugin off. We turn it on. Alright, not much going on there. So we could dial in some gain. So we could cut. So that's a bell shape. Go to a shelf. Again, we could do a shelf on the low. So that's the simple EQ settings there. So you can obviously, a little bit of an example there of what you're listening to. We check out, now let's throw in our PA module. So we'll have it off for the moment. We'll have no EQ settings on, and we'll just play with the PA. So it's a subtle drive. You can hear it. Not sure if it impacts. doesn't seem to impact on the actual EQ settings as such. Obviously our high pass filter. Gain control there, we just balance it out. Phase. So if we turn them on and off, very subtle. Yeah, adds a bit of a bump up high. You hear a bit of a difference there. So the PA11 here is actually very subtle. Well, it sounds subtle to me anyway in the headphones I'm using. It may not be so subtle on another system. So we've got our monitor section as we talked about, so we could listen to the sides. We could listen to only right, left, mid, stereo. Now we've obviously got our mid-side mode. So let's just turn that off. So let's unlink. So let's say we want to boost something on our sides. Want to boost our top end. But it's only on our side. Might want to filter out, so we could listen to our sides to hear what we're doing. Might want to filter out the low end on the side alone. You can hear a lot more drive in the cymbals there. We want to listen to our mids. So you can hear when we go to mids, we ignore this. So you might want to drive your mids, or say do a cut. Don't like. Want to boost the bass, but only in the low end. Only in the. You might want to boost the bass, but only in the mid. So we're not boosting at all in the sides. And as I said, you can add the extra module in here. So if you wanted to have some greater control over what you're doing there, then you've got that flexibility there. So obviously I've exaggerated some of these settings here just to give an idea. It may not be necessarily how I dial this in at all. You know, you could tweak this to your liking to get the sound you're after and all of that. So that's pretty much it, I think. we could run through a few examples here. Give it air. So if we have a look at what they're doing in that one, they're really doing nothing in the PA11 except turning this 28K on, and that's pretty much all they're doing. Okay, so interestingly enough, they're just turning on that 28K and they're not even adjusting the settings. So let's see what that does. That's actually a nice setting there. I could hear that. You especially with headphones on, you hear it sort of just brighten up a little bit on the top end without getting too harsh or crispy sounding, and it just opens it up, and as it describes, it gives it some air. So that actually is quite nice. We could, what else have we got here that might be interesting to listen to? We could go for some extreme things like old phone. So what they've done here is they have driven it quite heavily to, I guess, get that little sort of distortion and crunchiness of what an old phone might do. They've got a high pass filter to get rid of all the low end to get that thin sound. They have, is that on or off? It's hard to, that is on. So they got a high shelf and a low shelf on. They're cutting a little bit of 300 hertz. They are boosting a lot of 1K, which is that nasally sound that gives you that old phone sound. And they are cutting with a shelf everything above 6K. So they're really, you know, and this is traditionally what you do for a phone sound, is that you're focusing all of your attention and all the audio around this 1K range to give you that nasally phone sound. And obviously they've added distortion in there to enhance the as I said, the crunchy, distortion-y sound of it. Wow, that's nasty. Well, that is really nasty. So they've turned off the transformer. They got the amp on. They got the drive on high. They're filtering out high pass filter to 70 hertz. They dropped the volume a little bit. They're all set to bell. They are boosting. It's by 16 dB, 120 hertz bell. On this one, 16 dB boost at 1K, 1.8K. Yep. 16 dB cut at 28K, so taking the very top end off. Nothing on that one, and they are they're cutting at 800 hertz, and they are cutting severely at 430 hertz, and it's all linked. So they're doing that to get an amp sound. A lot of distortion. So you can cut the distortion down if you wanted to. But they're getting this distortion, so this drive is obviously, it obviously does react to these settings here, and because they're pushing them up so loudly, this drive is kicking in a lot more. So that's probably why it was subtle when I was showing it before, because it really is playing between how much you add here and what you do on your EQ. So there you go. There is the E27 from PSP. Let me know what you think of it in the comments. Let me know what you like or don't like about the plugin. Definitely, if you're interested in checking it out, go to the PSP website, get a demo, check out some of their other plugins while you're there, and let me know what you like about their plugins or don't like about their plugins. I'd love to hear your feedback. If you do have any questions, also feel free to put them in the comments. I would love to help wherever I can. If you do like the video, please click the thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, click the notification bell to be notified of all my future videos. All of your support is very much appreciated and allows me to continue to create this content as much as I possibly can. Hopefully the video has been helpful. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.